welcome to Inside Eastern Utah. I'm Shannon Heugly, and this is Scottie Draper, and we are talking to candidates for Carbon County Commission. Today, we are lucky enough to have Kendra Seeley with us. Kendra is another candidate for Carbon County Commission, and Kendra, I'm going to let you tell us just a little bit about yourself before we start asking you a few questions.
Perfect. Well, I am a Carbon County native. I went to Carbon High, graduated from CEU, and I went on to USU in Logan before we came back. About 10 years ago, we came back to Carbon County, and I have 4 children. And my husband, his relatives actually helped settle Wellington. So Wellington is named after the Seeleys. So we have deep roots in our community. And we are super excited to live here. We choose to live here, and I am excited to run for commissioner and possibly serve our community.
Awesome.
Yes, it's a hot race. You decided to throw your hat in the ring. There's many people running, and I'm sure you have some specific goals if you were elected that you'd want to accomplish. Can you tell us about those?
Yes. So one of my biggest goals is we've got to do something about our economy and our budget, our finances. I talked a lot about how if I went to my husband and said we were going to overspend by 20%, he would be like, absolutely not. We'll just dip into our savings. No, I don't think so. And he would be going out and getting a second job, and we would be eating ramen noodles until we could make it work, right? And as a county, we've got to get back to our ramen noodle budget. We've got to make some budget cuts so that we can spend what we have. And at the same time, we've got to figure out what's going on with our revenues so that we can increase our revenues. And that includes going after federal grants and making sure that we're following all the steps to meet those qualifications for those federal grants. It means incorporating some tourism into our tax base here. It means going out and finding some new industries to come and open their shops here, and as well as cultivating our current local homegrown businesses as well. So I think that if there was anything that I was going to work on, that would be it.
Okay, great. With budget cuts comes, that's kind of a scary thing. We went through a little bit of a thing last year with a tax increase, or we're going to have to cut some funding, and the commissioners sitting now decided to consolidate some jobs. So what do you have in mind for budget? What does that mean for most of the programs or all of the programs that we have now as far as budget cuts? Would that mean you would cut programs? Would that mean?
Yeah, I think a true leader leads out with themselves first. So the commissioners make a good salary, and I don't know that we need that kind of a salary for a commissioner's job. So the first place that I would look is my own budget to cut. The next place that I think we need to look is we've got to get back to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And if our programs aren't falling within that, if they're helping special interests, if they're just something that we've always done, then those would be programs that I would be looking at to cut. But I really anticipate relying heavily on the staff, because they're the experts, and we hired them to do a job, and they're the ones that know their departments intimately, and they can see what needs to be cut from their department, what absolutely can't be cut, and go from there. I mean, obviously when you get in, it's a little bit different than you maybe anticipated, so I don't pretend I have all the answers.
Sure. So if you were on the commission, you're going to come across a lot of things that are probably concerning to you. What steps would you take to resolve those concerns?
So I'm the type of person who brings people together. So everything that I do, I'm always thinking about ways that we can incorporate other community members, ways that we can bring people to the table. And as we go through these issues, the first thing that I think we need to do is involve the public. And if we can bring the right people into the room to tackle some of these tough issues, that's half the battle. I mean, I may not be the smartest person in the room, but I probably know who is, and maybe I invited them there. And so that's really the thing that I think is, if we can involve the public in our decision making and tackling this, that'll be half the battle. So.
And we're sitting here talking about issues. We don't want to, make it sound like Carbon County is just one big issue, because it's not. There's a lot of great things. But there are obviously some concerns that people have. What do you think maybe is the biggest concern for where the county is right now?
Well, I think that most people are really concerned about our budget and our economy. We're seeing our friends and neighbors have to move away to find work. But I do think that we're kind of going like this, but we could turn this around and start to head in the right direction quite easily. I think the first step to that is remembering why we choose to live here, because we all choose to live here. I mean, we could go somewhere else, make more money, have more prestige or whatever, but we love living here because it's a great lifestyle, because we're 5 minutes from the desert, 10 minutes from the mountains, because we love the small community feel where everybody helps everybody. If there's something that's going on, then everybody's going to be right there to pitch in to help. And I think that's the first step, is as a community we have to remember we love living here, we choose to live here, and kind of get out of that negative attitude of woe is us. But I really think that if we can control our own attitude and remember that, then that's half the battle.
Yes, and so involving the entire community instead of just taking it from one level, for example, for the commissioners.
Absolutely.
Is kind of
I don't know if you're going to ask me this later, but we talk about our drug problem a lot, right? We all know that we have a drug problem in our community. And I think that there's some different ways that we can look at this or go about it. So we can put more money towards drug counseling and mental health counseling and rehab facilities. And I think that's good. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a place for that. But I think there's some ways that we could prevent it. For example, there was a study that came out recently that said that we were the unhealthiest county in the state, right? Now we could argue about whether that's true or not. But if we owned it and we said, okay, we're unhealthy, we're going to work on our health for an entire year. And for 12 months, every month, we focused on something different. We bring in some dietitians to talk about healthy eating. In the summer, when it's beautiful, in the spring and the fall, we run some 5Ks or whatever. We go hiking and mountain biking, ATVs, and we talk about quitting smoking for a month. We talk about, all the different aspects of health. And an ounce of prevention is going to go a long way in our community to help our children and our young people not take that first step and start drugs, because on the backside we know how expensive it is to help people who are already addicted to drugs.
Of course. That's very true. Kendra, you have been involved in a lot of things. You have served as the chair of the Republican Party for Carbon County. What other experience, you can talk about that, but what other experience do you have that you think has prepared you to be a good public servant?
Well, being the chairman of the party is massive. I was elected by the party itself, the local people here, as the chairman. And ultimately, I answer to them. And so it prepares me in a way that's unique, because the people are coming to me saying, Kendra, you're not doing this, or Kendra, we need to go this direction. And, I'm just the one that's kind of steering the ship is the way that I like to call it, for the party. And the same goes with the commissioners. I mean, you're just steering the ship to go in the right direction. And sometimes that takes a long time. And I mean, I'm the first one that will admit our issues that we have here can't be solved overnight. But I do think that we shouldn't discount my role as a mother. As a mother, it's a unique opportunity to that you just can't get. As a woman, it's just a different perspective. And I've been involved with a lot of different organizations in our community, just serving. And I think that's the true spirit of what we're electing for in a commissioner. It's not just a job or whatnot.
And you did mention being a mother being kind of a unique aspect to it, but there also has never been a female commissioner in Carbon County. So do you think that could provide some great perspective to the county, kind of some fresh ideas?
Absolutely. You can't change that. It's just who you are. And as a woman, you bring a different perspective, a different set of ideas and values to the table that's just different. And that's not to say that one's better than the other, but as a woman, you just think about things differently. As a mother, you just think about your children, you think about the future of our community in a different way. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is we've got to find a way to keep our kids here. We're exporting people, and that's our greatest asset. And so if there's a way that we can keep our kids here, then that's the direction we need to go. So
certainly. And you speak about the future. A lot of people wonder if the energy industry is going to have a big role in Carbon County's future. Do you think, if anything, is there something that can invigorate that industry, or should it be going in a different direction, do you think?
Oh, I think coal is going to be part of our community. There's no way around it. I do think that we have to continue on the path that we're on with coal. But I don't know that it will be everything. We've got to diversify our economy. We've got to figure out who we want to be as a community and what that looks like. I think manufacturing is an obvious place to fit for our community. But if we don't diversify, then we're going to struggle. We're going to continue to struggle. And unless coal comes back, which I don't have a magic crystal ball to see that, then we've just got to diversify our economy. We've been saying that for years, for I don't know how many years, since I was a kid here, and we haven't seen any change. And so we've got to really actually roll up our sleeves and get to work.
It's time.
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, before we let you go, is there any last thought or anything you would like to plug before we let you go?
Well, I am excited to run. I'm excited to be considered as the next commissioner, and I would ask for your votes and hope that the public will recognize my experience and value that I bring to the table.
Well, we certainly appreciate your time and for you spending a few minutes to answer our questions and let our viewers get to know you a little bit better.
Perfect. Thank
Thanks for coming in.
You bet.
And stay tuned. We're going to be back in just a few minutes on Inside Eastern Utah with another Carbon County Commission hopeful. So stay tuned.